Hi everybody, and welcome to today's Jungle Musing, which is going to be based on the first philosophy in the jungle, know thyself. Have you been to see RBG yet? That's the movie, the documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who is a justice on the Supreme Court. And I didn't really know much about her before I went to see the movie. But I want to tell you what I got out of the movie for real. Like the biggest wow from the movie for me was in regards to what her mom taught her when she was growing up. And her mom taught her two things, she said, consistently when she was growing up. And the number one thing that she taught her was to always be a lady. The number two thing that her mom taught her was to always be independent. And the one I want to talk about is the number one, which is always be a lady. And I just want to tell you that, quite frankly, this whole thing about being a lady, to me, up until I saw the movie, has always been kind of a thorn in my side in terms of when I was being raised. To be a lady had a lot of implications to it, and mostly ones that to me were negative, like there was some type of way of being ladylike that we were supposed to be as women, as girls. And ladylike to me sounded and felt oppressive. And to her, what her mom was meaning by always being a lady was very different than my interpretation of what it means to be a lady. And what she meant was to always have your emotions under your control, in particular anger. And again, I will be really frank with you that up until I saw her movie, to me, it must have just been the right day and time and place and age for me to hear this, because to be a woman and to be expected to suppress your anger has always seemed to me like wrong, just wrong. But I got this whole different perspective when I went to see the movie. It was very, very powerful for me. And I want to share it and encourage all women to go see the movie. It was just phenomenal. And take your daughters, and it's just take your husbands, it was just such a great movie. Anyway, so what she meant by that was to know that when you come across as angry, that you don't get heard. And in the jungle and in this day and age, what we really are impressing upon women in this day and age is to find your voice and have your voice be heard, to show up in life with your voice intact. The first philosophy in the jungle is know thyself. And so when I talk about knowing your voice, I talk about it being connected to your purpose and your spirituality and your truth and being authentic. And so I really like this movie because when she's talking about being a lady and having her emotions under control, it's clear that she did not have emotions, but the way that she has presented herself throughout her career is to have always said things in a very matter-of-fact way. Now, this is a woman who's responsible for a lot of the most famous and earliest women's rights court cases. And so what she did was she presented court cases to men, and oftentimes all male juries, because when she started, there were no women on the juries. It was women were not allowed to be on juries. And so when she presented cases, she said that she was educating. She was taking men, mostly white men, and helping them to understand and really get what it's like to be a second-class citizen. And she said that many times the way that she presented or felt like she was presenting is like a kindergarten teacher, which I thought was really interesting. And she did not say it in a condescending way. But her point in the whole saying it that way is that it was from a loving place of, look, this is what it's like, and this is what we want, and this is what we don't want, and this is what we're standing for. And this is what we just straight up won't tolerate anymore. And she's been a very, 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 very effective. In fact, she said the first time and only time that she's lost it and really displayed her anger publicly is when Trump got elected, which I thought was really interesting. And so, again, this is really important because in the women's movement, what we have right now is we have the old way of being angry women and, saying, no, we're not going to put up with this anymore in a way that makes men wrong, in a way that makes us just angry and not being heard. And therefore, there's about probably still 50%, I'm saying really roughly, I haven't gathered statistics on this, but I would say because of the amount of women that I speak to personally, my observation is that there are still a ton of women that don't want to be connected to or related to the feminist movement because they don't want to be seen as those angry women who are pissed off at men and basically, don't want to be labeled one of those women that hate men. And so there's a lot of women who are still holding back because they don't totally know how to express themselves, to own their voice, own their power in a way that is effective and empowering. And so I really love this movie because it does bridge where women's voice is to come forward in this world just because our voice matters, our voice makes a difference. It's time for us to have full input into how the world is run, and it's just time. And it's not we have to get angry and we have to pick and choose and decide we're going to be these full-on angry feminists or keep our voices suppressed. So this is such a good movie. It's just really made a difference for me because I see where I have felt that I've had to pick between keeping my voice suppressed or coming across as one of those angry feminists, when in fact I've always known all along that that's not the case. In fact, my earliest training back from the very first world movement that I was a part of, reevaluation counseling, which is a world movement and has the mission to end all forms of oppression on this planet. The theory is that women, being half the population, have the power to change, to actually eradicate every oppression on this planet, because our voice banned across half the planet would do just that, end every oppression on this planet. If you ask any woman, and I dare you, go ask women, do we have to have war on this planet? I've never heard a woman say yes. I have heard women say, well, there always has been war, but more times than not, the answer is no. And when you ask a woman, does there have to be starvation on this planet? You'll get the same thing. Women will say no. So for women's voice to be heard it's just a time that has come. And it's not about being angry, and it's not about having to make men wrong. It's about just simply having a voice. And so I hope that this message makes an impact on you, and that you will go and see the movie, because it's a great movie and just really empowering for women. So that's all I have for you today. And as usual, in the jungle, until next time.